Welcome everyone to the Moisky News for May the 13th, 2020. Today we are going to be talking about the furlough scheme and the self-employed. Rishi Sunak, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, has confirmed that employees will continue to receive 80% of their monthly salary, up to $2,500 a month of course, but the government will ask companies to start sharing the cost of the scheme from August. That's going to be a big negatory. It was believed that this would be reduced down to 60%. The Chancellor confirmed in a statement to the House of Commons yesterday, no, 7.5 million people are now covered by this scheme, which costs £14 billion a month. In bonus additional great news for people like myself, self-employed people will now be able to apply for assistance from midday today, with payments being rolled out from next week, which is exciting news. I can't wait to get the 20-30 quid a week I'll probably get from it anyway, and I doubt they'll backdate it. The Chancellor has also indicated a desire to use the scheme to help businesses to get back to work. He also concedes that the Treasury is expected to cover more than half the costs between August and October. Rishi Sunak said in his statement, "I'm extending the scheme because I won't give up on the people who rely on it. Our message today is simple. We stood behind Britain's workers and businesses as we came into this crisis, and we will stand behind them as we come through the other side." A number of businesses have said that it is still likely that even with furlough, companies will have to fire a lot of staff, citing no income and huge or rising costs, which is understandable and an unfortunate consequence of what is happening, which is why I actually support a number of businesses now opening. It's just getting people to go out, to go to those shops. That's the next hurdle. A number of changes were made to this speech that Rishi Sunak gave, which meant that when Annalise Dodds, the Shadow Chancellor, went to give her speech, while she did have the original, she didn't have enough time to address the changes. So we will wait and see what she says as a counter to what the government has suggested. There was a belief, or is a belief, that many people will become addicted to furlough if it was extended. I, like the Chancellor, tend to disagree with this. Many would rather work and earn their money than rely on the state to fund them. We're not living through the times of new labour, with the Chancellor saying that nobody who is on the furlough scheme wants to be on this scheme. People up and down this country believe in the dignity of their work, going to work, providing for their families. It is not their fault their business has been asked to close or asked to stay at home, which I can totally agree with. I'm sure there are some that will want to stay within the furlough area, but they are not a majority, I promise you that. The British Chamber of Commerce, along with the TUC and Make UK, all support this, with General Secretary for the TUC Francis O'Grady saying that the extension will be a big relief for millions, but also adding, as the economic consequences of COVID-19 become clear, unions will keep pushing for a job guarantee scheme to make sure everyone has a decent job. Yesterday, during the government's press briefing, Alok Sharma the business secretary, was asked about whether or not we should have, like Norway, a universal basic income. The answer was no, which understandably led to a significant number of people congregating on Twitter because Facebook's for boomers, and now they're all on Twitter, denying their boomerness, complaining about this idea. I will leave it to you, the vastly more intelligent than myself, to decide whether or not it is a good idea to have a universal basic income or not, or whether it is feasible. The director for the Institute of Fiscal Studies think tank estimates the scheme will have cost £100 billion by October, and it is thought that about 935,000 businesses signed up to the scheme in total. Over a quarter of all jobs, which is 27% and 7.5 million people in total, are now paid by the taxpayer potentially for 8 months. After that, the level of subsidy from taxpayer will be lowered, with employers expected to pay a contribution. This is all under the, let's say, premise that we are then out of this crisis. We're down to DEFCON 1, and therefore we are safe in this little COVID colour chart that we're using. If we are not, and the second wave of this problem arises like many believe, then of course this could become quite expensive for even longer, and even more of a problem in the long run for our economy. The Prime Minister has refused to use the dreaded A word, which means austerity, but I have a sneaky feeling it's going to have to happen because we have far too much going on, and for our economy to start growing and to recover what we've lost, sacrifices may well have to be made again, which will be a damning statement overall of the Conservatives in power for the last 10 years, potentially 15, of course, that they spent the entire time in austerity, although it can be argued the more recent damage was not their fault, although I'm sure someone will say it is, 'cause. With this, I'm very much interested to know what you think. At midday today, I get to apply for this. I will keep people updated on what I get, because I think it's quite interesting, and I did take quite a hit when all of my cleaning work was revoked. So do let me know what you think about this in the comments down below.